So this summer we have a pretty cool adventure planned on our CRF300Ls. But we're going to be pretty remote at some points and we don't know if there's fuel close by, and the CRF300L original tank only has less than 8 liters. So today we're going to fix that. So these are the two fuel tanks, the original one and the Acerbis long-range fuel tank. And if you look at them side by side, this one looks a lot bigger, but it's actually about half a kilogram lighter than the original one. And this tank has only 7.8 liters of fuel capacity, with Honda's stated fuel mileage of about 32 kilometers per liter. That takes you about 250 kilometers. The Acerbis tank has almost double that, with 40 liters of capacity, which takes you more than 400 kilometers with the same mileage. Now, mileage varies with the terrain you're riding, so you'll probably get a bit less than that. If you are looking to extend your riding range, installing the larger Acerbis fuel tank on your Honda CRF300L is a simple but rewarding upgrade. This is something you can do yourself easily with a few basic tools, and I'll guide you through the process step by step. So for preparation, it's important to first drain all the remaining fuel in your stock fuel tank to avoid spills. And while you're at it, prepare the new Acerbis tank by laying out all the included components, so you have everything ready when you need it. The tank comes with a plastic bag containing some paperwork, which you probably don't need, the necessary hardware, and a vent line. So let's get into it. So to install the Acerbis tank, all you need to remove is the seat, the two front side plastics, and the stock tank. It's easy as that. So to remove the seat, you can unscrew the two 5mm Allen bolts securing the seat. And I have a rack on this bike, so it's a bit more involved, but it's basically the same thing. So to loosen the front side panels, each side has 3 5mm Allen bolts that you need to remove. They also have a few push pins. So if you've never used them, you can remove them by pushing on the inner circle and it will drop down a few millimeters and then you can take it out freely. Don't push on them too hard, because then you can push the middle part all the way through and you might lose it. So now remove the push pins connecting the front and the back panels together. And then remove the push pins connecting the panels to the radiator guard. So the front fender on the right, if you're sitting on the bike, has only one push pin, and the one on the left has 2 push pins. Now gently tug on the black radiator guard to separate it from the panel, and carefully disconnect the Velcro strips holding the panels in place on the old tank. So now for the stock tank. So you unscrew the 4 8mm bolts securing the tank, which is pretty easy. And then we can proceed on disconnecting the fuel pump. And keep some paper towels or rags handy to catch any escaping fuel for the next steps. Because even if you drain the fuel tank, there's possibly something left in the tank anyway. So lift the tank up slightly and firstly disconnect the overflow hose clamp with some pliers, and then disconnect the hose itself. Now unplug your fuel gauge connector by pressing the bottom clip and tugging on it. And now you're ready to disconnect the fuel line itself. And you can choose between the one underneath the tank or the one that's connected to the tank. But I think the one underneath the tank is a bit easier to get to, especially when you're on your own, because you don't have to balance the tank. So I'm going to try to release it now with just a flat blade screwdriver. And you need to push in on this little hinging part. Then you can put the screwdriver in between it and just prop open the little clamp like this. And this is enough. You should be able to loosen it now. And I think it has 2 locks, one on this side and one on the other side, to be able to release it from the throttle body. So I need 2 hands for that. So I need to pull these 2 tabs to the side and you can loosen it. And then you can take the tank off. So now you have the tank free of all the hoses, you can take off the fuel pump. And you can do this by unscrewing the 4 10mm nuts holding the fuel pump in place. Then carefully lift the pump out, and keeping in mind that it has a few bends in it. So just maneuver it without hitting the fuel pump too hard. So now we're all ready to prepare the Acerbis tank for installation. So first we're going to install the fuel pump. Place the Acerbis tank upside down and insert the fuel pump into the hole, ensuring the alignment peg sits correctly into the bracket. So for the CRF, the wire hook should face towards the front of the tank. Now secure the fuel pump with the 4 provided bolts and be careful not to over tighten them because the copper threads are very delicate. And if you want to, you can now check for leaks before continuing by putting some gas into the tank. The next step is to install the rubber spacers. So push the 4 rubber spacers into the mounting brackets of the Acerbis tank. I used a little silicone grease here to make them go in a bit easier. And the front 2 spacers include 2 steel inserts which you can also insert into the rubber spacers already. Now you can go ahead and screw in the saddle pin. This is where the saddle attaches when your tank is on the bike. And then the next step is to install the vent line. The vent line has a connector that connects into your old vent line. So you can push that in and put the hose clamp over the connector. And make sure the arrow is facing towards your new tank. Now connect the new included vent line to the other side of the connector. And make sure to route it correctly through the frame so you can attach it to the fuel cap later. And now we can put the tank on the bike. So place the tank kinda in position and reconnect the fuel line to the throttle body by just pushing it on. And then you can plug the fuel gauge connector back into the fuel pump. And now just place the tank correctly over the mounting holes. So first just lightly thread the bolts into the holes so you can position them correctly. And then just snug them up. These don't need to be really tight, but just tighten them so the tank won't move on you. My package actually didn't include washers for the rear bolts, and the instructions suggested reusing the stock ones. But unfortunately, these were captive on the bolts on my version, so keep that in mind just in case. So now you can measure, cut and attach the vent line to your fuel cap. And now you're ready to reinstall the plastics. So first, cut the provided Velcro to match the existing Velcro on your plastics. And then clean the surface of the tank where the Velcro will adhere. Then test fit the panels to ensure all the mounting holes align properly. And carefully peel off the adhesive backing of the Velcro pads and press the panels into place. So now reattach all the panels, bolts and push pins in reverse order of removal. Put your seat back in place and you're ready to ride. I hope this guide helps and encourages you to maybe do these kinds of upgrades yourself. And we're going to make a lot more videos soon on upgrading our CRFs, packing light and our off-road camping adventures. So make sure to subscribe and give us a like, it really helps us out.